Hey everyone, this is Adam Reuter, and I'm here today with libertarian lesbian Lauren. And I want to ask you about gay marriage and basically what are your thoughts on it?
Well, I don't think that we should be running around begging the state to allow us to have our relationships certified and stamped by the government. If you have a relationship and you feel like your relationship is valid, you shouldn't have to have the government validate it for you. And I understand that there's certain benefits to getting married, which is why I think that there should be no government marriage licenses at all for straight people or gay people, because the origins of the marriage license were racist in the first place. They were meant to keep black people, freed slaves, from marrying white women.
Yes.
So they were originally horrible...
Or vice versa.
Right. Or they were racist institutions in the beginning. So at this point, it's still a civil rights issue. It's still kind of like a piece of anti-civil rights legislation. And I feel like it should just be gone altogether. Not that we should be begging to be put onto it. Now, and I understand logistically we kind of almost have to now, because there's certain things like with children and property that you kind of need it for now. So,
which is a shame.
It's a shame that we have to. I mean, a lot of it can be handled with contract law. But
that's true.
The only problem with that is that families, if your family doesn't agree with what you're doing, they can fight the contract and they'll usually win. So unless you're in a relationship that both families stand behind, the contract law a lot of times gets overthrown.
And who knows if that would even, because, when you're alive, somebody might all of a sudden, they might be lying to you, and then once you die or your significant other dies, and they might change their mind.
Yeah.
Death can change people's minds.
It's not something that I feel like should be in the government's hands to control it all. And it's kind of the same, I'm going to throw in hate crime legislation with it too. Hate crime legislation just makes it harder to prove a crime. Well, now you have to prove that the person did it because the other person was gay. Why don't we just prove the crime? If somebody killed me, I don't care if they killed me because I was gay, or because I was a midget, or because I was an anarchist, or because I smelled funny. I don't care why they killed me. You know what I mean? So I feel like that just adds another hurdle into proving the crime. It's almost like a double charge. Yeah. It's double jeopardy. It could be. I mean, it's technically an enhancer to the charge.
Right, but it's almost like saying, it's like adding an extra count, which they typically don't do.
Yeah.
Like, if you've already been charged with possession of marijuana, you can't be charged with possession of marijuana again, the exact
You can't be charged with possession of marijuana and possession of marijuana with intent to distribute. You only get one.
Right,
that's kind of what you're saying.
The hate crime thing is to me, I definitely agree with you.
And I feel like it makes people not like gay people because of it. They're like, oh, you guys think you get special rights. I don't want special rights. I want the same rights as everybody else. And and the gay community goes about it in a way where it almost does look like special rights. And recently in a state where they passed gay marriage, there was I don't know if it was the cake people, somebody for a wedding wouldn't work for the gay people. Was it the photographer?
Yes.
Wouldn't work for the gay people, so they sued them, and the court decided they had to work for them. That's the most asinine shit I've ever heard in my life. If you want to have a nice wedding, why would you want people that hate you in your wedding?
Why would you want to?
Why would you want to force people? Your whole thing is you don't want people to force religion on you, force their morals on you, but yet you're going to force this person to take pictures of your wedding knowing they don't agree with what you're doing.
Right.
It makes no sense, and it's vindictive.
And plus...
It's like, well, now you have to.
Right.
It's stupid and childish, and it needs to stop, or it's going to make us look really, really, really bad.
Do you really think that person who is against what you're for... who doesn't want to be there to begin with, doesn't want to see the two people kissing at the altar.
They're not going to do a good job.
They're going to be half-ass it.
Why would you do that? There's tons of gay people that are artists and photographers and all around the wedding. I mean, you work weddings, Almost everybody that works a wedding is some sort of flaming homosexual. So get somebody to help you out.
At least one, yeah.
Yeah, so there's no need to force people into doing things the way you want it. This goes back to my big thing of there's a difference between tolerance and acceptance. You have to tolerate me. You don't have to accept me. You have to put up with the fact that I'm gay in the world. You don't have to accept that it's okay. You can think gay. I'm friends with people that think being gay is wrong because they're Christian. I don't give a shit because they don't try to put it on me. Right. They can have their opinions, and that's the difference. Is I feel like the gay community is trying to get people to accept them and to say they want the whole world to say that being gay is okay. And I don't give a fuck if you think it's okay or not, as long as you let me be gay.
Right.
you know, and that's the difference, is that I think if gay people in general stopped looking for acceptance and started not settling, but looking for tolerance. You just want people to let you be gay. You know, they don't necessarily have to agree with you. That's like saying you wanting people that are religious to not be religious anymore. Like, let them. So what? It doesn't affect you. As long as it doesn't affect you, it shouldn't matter.
Yeah, and I mean, it's kind of a weird thing because, like, I do feel bad for that photographer because they're just going based off of their, you know, whether it's how they were raised and that's ingrained in them now, or whether that's something that they thought of and that's just how they are. Like, I might disagree with, let's say, a Crips and Bloods wedding.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, if I was a Crip, or if I was a Crip, and it was some Bloods getting married, I wouldn't want to take that because I don't like them people.
Right.
I don't like them.
And I mean, there's other ways to handle that too. Like, in the free market.
I know it's not the same thing.
Go to the fucking, go let people know that are going to buy wedding whatever from those people. Go let them know, just so you know. These are bigoted fucking piece of shit people.
Well, that's what they did. And
well, no, that's fine in my opinion. Right. But when you take it to the courts, that's different. Boycotting an organization and letting the public know what they think is the proper avenue.
Yeah, because of, you know, the way the media works, and if you Google that business's name, she pretty much went out of business because if you typed in the business name,
and that worked.
Yeah.
So why take it the other route? Well, why make court precedent?
They were basically kicking the dead horse.
Yeah.
At that point.
Exactly. And that's stupid. And then the precedent that you're going to cause later on down the road is going to suck. Because then people are going to be afraid to tell you, we don't want to do your wedding because you're gay. They'll just do it anyway because they feel like they have to, and they'll half-ass it. Instead of letting the people be bigots, so that then you know, oh, I don't want this person to do my wedding because they don't, you know, agree with me. It just hides it and sends it underground and makes people stuff it instead of fixing the problem. It does nothing to fix it at all.
Or you can't, I mean, it might not even necessarily be a problem to begin with that can be fixed. I mean, it's kind of like having a car that you constantly got to repair. You know, it's like you may as well just get a new one, or a new photographer in this case. Which I don't know why I guess they did do, but they were just kind of basically, like you said, was there a law established that you could not discriminate customers based on sexual orientation?
Probably.
That's my guess, and I think that's wrong though, because to me that's a business.
So do I. We don't want to fight about that. People get shitty about that one. They're like, "Oh, well, you shouldn't be able to discriminate." I would rather people be able to openly discriminate. I would rather walk up to a store and there be a sign on the door that says, "No fucking dykes are allowed in this store." So when I go in there, I'm not treated like shit for no reason, and I don't know why, and my money is going to support people who think like that.
You would rather go to people who have like the rainbow on the front or whatever.
Or just normal people. I don't even have to go support my people, but just to know who's against me, it would be nice. But when you make these laws, it just shoves it underground and then you don't know. Then somebody spits in your fucking cheeseburger because they hate gay people, and you could have just not eaten there and gone to the store next door.
I would rather somebody outright say F you than behind my back say F you.
Exactly. So that's my whole thing on it. You can't legislate morality. If you think being anti-gay is bigoted and wrong, legislation is not the way to go to solve it.
And it won't be solved.
No, not at all.